Friends of mine decided to get married at St. Augustine by the Sea in Waikiki, Hawaii. After being married civilly for some time, by the grace of God, they felt the desire to get married in the church. Praise be to God. Now, during this whole experience, the Holy Spirit was working in a big way. So going to confession is something that needs to be done on a frequent basis, and being how they were going to receive the sacrament of matrimony, it needed to be done prior to that. Why? It's kind of like before receiving Jesus in the Eucharist, you go to confession. You want to be in that state of grace instead of being in the state of mortal sin. After talking with my friend's mother-in-law, she reveals to me that she had been trying to encourage both of them to go to confession prior to getting married or prior to the ceremony, but sadly that had not been done. That's right, it wasn't done. Enter the Holy Spirit. I was moved by the Holy Spirit to inquire if both of them would be open to receiving the sacrament of confession, and I had a feeling that if my friend was open to it, that his wife would be open to it as well. And so I asked both of them, would you be open to doing this? Is this something that you would consider doing? And to my surprise, both of them were open, and they said yes. And my friend was like, if this is what needs to be done, and if this is part of the process of getting married in the church, I'm all for it. I'm not doing this again. So I relayed that openness to my wife, who was speaking with the coordinator. The coordinator then tells the couple to return the next day, the wedding day, after daily mass, to hopefully get confession done. That morning comes, mass is done, no priest in sight. My friends inquire at the office, and it turns out the pastor is out at an appointment. This was very frustrating. Here they were, open, they made time the morning of the wedding, and this was not part of their routine to plan for a confession, so it was very, very frustrating to both of them. So being how there was no priest to hear their confession, they were advised to come back by the office an hour or so earlier before the ceremony to see if a confession could be done. So we left the church for our hotel rooms, feeling a bit deflated about everything going on. Ceremony day, ceremony time. We had neither heard from the bride or the groom in regards to if they had gotten done. The whole time during the ceremony, I was thinking, did they do it? Did they not do it? I can't wait to find out. And so the ceremony was done. We were walking towards the back of the church, and I happened to be walking with his mother-in-law, and I asked her, did they go to confession? And she said yes. And I couldn't believe that she said yes. I couldn't believe that they got it done. So I walked up to him and I asked, and I said, hey, did you guys do it? And he was like, yes. And I was filled with so much joy. I was like, I think I started crying. I know my friend was looking at me like, why are you crying, man? And so he told me, thank you. Like after going to confession, like I felt like this big weight lifted off my shoulder. And I heard that his wife too, like she was crying as well, but not tears of sadness, more as tears of joy during her confession, and that she got it done as well. Thanks be to God for the Holy Spirit working and making a way for them to get confession done prior to them receiving the sacrament of marriage. And now for the icing on the cake, the very next day at daily mass, guess what the pastor's homily was about? You guessed it. He was talking about my friend's situation in their desire to go to confession prior to getting married. And pretty much the message of that homily was, it's all in God's time and not on our own time. and I felt God was speaking to me, and like He touched me in that moment, and I just felt such peace and such joy, and it was just very, very powerful to experience the Holy Spirit in that way, and the Holy Spirit working in me, my wife, and everybody involved in Hawaii. It was very, very beautiful. Now, could that whole situation of them trying to go to confession, could that be God seeing how bad they wanted Him?